Hi guys, today's lesson is exercise 2G, compound interest. Last lesson we looked at simple interest. That's interest calculated only on the original amount, so just on the principal, the initial amount borrowed or invested. But compound interest, it's calculated on the original amount plus any interest already earned. So this means that the interest is added to the amount and the next lot of interest is calculated again using this new amount. So this is what happens as a result. Simple interest just is steady over time. The money just increases at the same rate. But compound interest, due to the compounding nature, over time, it increases exponentially. This is the compound interest formula. I'll explain what each part means. So the A, this stands for the amount that we're going to be working out. The P stands for principal, so the starting amount. The R stands for rate, so the interest rate. The N stands for number of times the interest is compounded. And the T stands for time in years. The formula on the previous slide works out the amount, so the amount at the end of the period. If you then want to know what the interest is, you use this formula here. I equals A minus P. So the I stands for the interest, which we're going to work out. The A is the amount, which you've already worked out using the formula on the previous slide, minus the P, which is the principal, the starting amount. I'm going to go through some common values of N. So N in the compound interest formula is the number of times interest is compounded. So it'll tell you in the question how often it's compounded, and you need to know what that N value is to put in the equation. So if it says it's compounded annually, annually is once a year. So the value of N you'll put in is 1. Biannually, bi means 2. If you think of like a bicycle has 2 wheels, bi. So twice a year, so 2. Quarterly, the value of N is 4. Monthly, there's 12 months in the year. Fortnightly, so fortnightly is every 2 weeks. So that is 26. And weekly, there's 52 weeks in a year. Okay, I'll whip through some examples. So this first one, find a total value of the investment if $8,000 is invested at 5% compounded annually for 4 years. So the first thing I'm going to do is write out the formula. So A equals P times brackets 1 plus and then a fraction R over 100 times N, close brackets, to the power of N times T. Alright, now I'm going to substitute in these values from the question. So I'm trying to figure out what A is. P is the principal, so that's 8,000 times 1 plus, so my rate is 5%, so 5 over 100 times N. So N is the how many times it's compounded, and because it's annually, N equals 1. So times 1 to the power of 1 times, and the T is 4. So put that in the calculator, and that equals 9,724.05. Let's try another example. Tony's investment of $4,000 is compounded at 8.4% over 5 years. Determine the amount he will have after 5 years if the interest is paid monthly. So the first thing to do is write out the formula. So A equals P times 1 plus R over 100 times N, close bracket, to the power of N times t. Now I'm going to substitute the things into the formula. So principal is the starting amount, so that's 4,000. Times 1 plus an R is 8.4% over 100 times n. So n is how many times it's compounded, which it tells us here it's monthly. So n equals 12. So times 12. And then to the power of 12 times t, which is the years, which is 5. So times 5. Pop that in a calculator, which equals 6,078.95. Okay, last example. $1,000 is invested at 3% compounded biannually for 6 years. Find the interest earned. So we first need to find the amount using the compound interest formula. So A equals P times bracket 1 plus R over 100 times N bracket N to the power of N times T. Alright, then substituting our values. So the value of P, the principal, is 1,000 times 1 plus the R is 3, 100. The N, so it's biannually, so N equals 2. So 2 times, and then the T is the years, which is 6. And then put that in the calculator, which equals 1,195.62. And then we need to work out the interest. See, the question has asked us to find the interest. So the interest equals A minus P. So the A is the amount we just worked out. So 1,195.62 minus 1,000, which is our principal, our starting amount. So we're left with the interest of 195.62. Could you please do the compound interest worksheet and submit it to my Panola?